Thank you very much, Terry, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here, and I congratulate Woking News and Mail and everyone involved in these inaugural Crest Awards. I'm at the Centre for Environment and Sustainability at the University of Surrey. We're really pleased to be involved in Crest and very keen to work with everyone in following up what's been a really great initiative. And as the director of the centre, Professor Angela Druckmann, says in the programme, a big part of what we do is teach and train the environmental and sustainability professionals, the leaders of the future, and helping raise awareness and create opportunities to change business strategies and practices to bring economic, social and environmental benefits for all is really fundamental to what we're about. And Crest is entirely in tune with that. So that's why we value these awards so highly. Now, Angela Druckmann also notes that these awards are especially timely given that we're now in the run-up to COP26, the big global summit on climate action to be held in November in Glasgow, co-hosted by the UK government. The aim there is to raise ambition around the world and to inject even more urgency into action in dealing with our climate crisis. And with that in mind, I thought it would be useful to put Crest in the bigger context. We need to act local while thinking global. Thinking local and global together, working together on the big challenges that we face. And that's the spirit that we see in the Crest entries. People are displaying that commitment to thinking global and acting effectively locally. So let's quickly review the big challenges that we face and put Crest in context. And I've got a very few slides to go through that. Now, we've really got our work cut out in the 2020s. And that's daunting, but it's also really exciting. We've got to recover in a sustainable, green way from COVID, in our businesses, in our towns, in our cities, in every aspect of our lives. We've got this decade to make really decisive steps towards a decarbonised economy, a net zero world. And we need very determined action to stop biodiversity loss in the UK, but also around the world, and to help the natural world recover. And all of these things can go together. They're part of what's being called building back better. Let's have a look at the other crises that we face, the really big challenges, climate and nature crises. So let's look at climate. There are a few slides which underline the point that the science is now beyond doubt. The Earth is overheating, we're doing it, and we've got to cool the planet down. As Greta Thunberg says, the science is beyond doubt, our house is on fire. But so far, all we've managed to do, faced with this fire, is bring a few buckets of water. We need to bring the full weight of the global emergency services to bear on this fire that we face, the climate crisis. And that means we've got to reduce emissions very sharply in the next decade. We've got to halve our carbon impact by 2030, and then have further drastic cuts all the way until the mid-century. It's going to be really daunting. It's complex. It will be challenging. It will be massively difficult. But it's exciting as well. The opportunities for business, the opportunities for rethinking our communities are absolutely huge. And we can't neglect the nature crisis, the loss of species, of habitats, of genetic diversity around the world. If you've not seen David Attenborough's programme on this, Extinction, the Facts on the BBC, do have a look, and there's a link on the slide. The other picture I show in this slide is a kind of global dashboard of all of the big environmental challenges that we face. Climate change, even though it's definitely an emergency, only rates as orange so far on this global dashboard. We're not yet in the emergency zone, although we're heading there and we need to pull back fast. But we are in the emergency zone, the red zone, when it comes to loss of biodiversity. So it's crucial that we keep that big crisis in mind, even though the headlines tend to be grabbed by what's been going wrong with our climate system. Now, the UK government has got really big ambitions, not just for this year when we have the COP26 event in November, but way beyond through the 2020s. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that tackling climate change and biodiversity loss are now the #1 international priority for the UK government. We've never heard that level of ambition and urgency before, and it's very welcome. And I've put a list there on the slide of the big green ambitions that the government has set. Getting to net zero carbon in our society and economy by 2050, and that means a 78% cut in carbon emissions for the UK by 2035. And we've got to do that at the same time as building back better from the pandemic and radically improving our natural environment. So, as I say, we've got our work cut out. The challenges are so huge, you might think, well, this is something that only international organisations and national governments and big business can handle. But in fact, every single sector has got to be involved. The role of local government, local partnerships, communities, citizens are all absolutely vital. And in that, the role of SMEs, the kinds of organisations who've been sending their entries into the CREST Awards, is absolutely crucial. And the opportunities are there. Just look at the CREST 21 entries that we've seen. And I've got a list there on the screen, which we can discuss further in the chat if you like, about the opportunities that we can see for small and medium enterprises. Let's just highlight a couple there. One is the need to completely change our heating systems in our homes over the next couple of decades, moving away from gas, going towards electricity, heat pumps and so on. A massive opportunity for small and medium enterprises. And the same goes for rethinking of our communities, especially in the wake of the pandemic, where we've got to rethink how we use land, how we use our buildings. And maybe a theme for next year's CREST Awards will be what I've put at the end there. What would a zero carbon new kind of high street look like? What kind of revolution would we need? And what are the opportunities for businesses in achieving that in the next decade? So that's the scale of the challenge that we've got, but also the scale of the opportunity, I think, as well for SMEs. It's been a real privilege and pleasure to help judge these entries, and I've come away feeling really inspired by the commitment, by the inventiveness that's been shown by all of the organisations who've sent in entries. They're really showing how we can make a reality of the big idea of sustainable enterprise. And we at the Centre for Environment and Sustainability and the wider University of Surrey are really excited about working with you all in following up this fantastic initiative. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the rest of the event.